Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Isotope, Recording Connection, Studio 202, The Slate Companies, and Audio Technica.
We're going to take a look at where Dave does all his magic, plus you'll see how he sets the magic up. You folks on the East Coast, God, you need a break. So we're going to come your way. April 18th, Washington, D.C. Mark it down. Details will be coming. Let's let it rip. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place.
Hey guys, thanks for coming by and hanging out with us today. Got a lot for you, a lot of things going on. And Herbert,
What do you think, man? It's crazy.
well, you know, it's like this
March
gift
already?
we've been given just keeps on giving, you know?
And also, is time flying? It's March.
It really is flying.
This is crazy. Well, we got good stuff. Should we
I
get to
like
it?
March.
I like March too. I like April too. It's my birthday.
I like spring.
It's springtime.
I don't know if I ever told you, your birthday and my dad's birthday are very close.
And guess who else has a birthday coming up?
Who?
His last
Oh,
name was
no,
Pensado.
we're skipping that one this year.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, I got permission from President Obama.
Okay, cool. Let's go to it. Once again, folks, time for our weekly audio meetup. Really hope you are well. Make yourself have a great week. Likes and subscribes continue to be amazing. We thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Our partners are growing in quality and substance, and what that means is really more opportunity for you. Folks like Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Isotope, Avid, and Recording Connection, all doing their thing. Speaking of Blackbird, if you want the best in learning, you know how we feel already, and you also want a great job with a great placement service, get on the horn or email Karma Banster at the Blackbird Academy. Domestic students still have time for their April class. Another big thing for the Blackbird Academy is now international students are eligible and can attend. So international and domestic students, talk to Karma about July and September classes. That's Karma at theblackbirdacademy.com, C-A-R-M-A. Phenomenal teachers, one of the best music cities in America, which is Nashville, connected to an amazing Recordio empire. We call it a studio campus, and it's all driven by people who really, really do care. Don't wait, investigate. International students, a great opportunity for you. Take advantage of it. We're almost back behind the desk. Are you anxious? I'm so anxious to get behind
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh man, God! As you can see, we're sitting in the kitchen of the place that you're going to hear about where Dave works. But we're probably 2 weeks away from being in the place, and I'm excited about it. And also, I got to tell you, we got some great guests lined up for March and April, right?
Oh,
Like I want to go to our own show and see the show.
I mean, the run of guests we had at NAMM is just going to keep going through the year.
Absolutely.
And you know what, guys? You guys treat our guests properly. You go and thank them on their websites and Facebook pages. You make them feel like they're important, and that really helps us bring quality guests to you. And it's the right thing to do.
They notice that. They absolutely notice that. Speaking of April, mark your calendars. See if you can get to Washington, D.C. We're going to bring the whole circus back there. Full details next week. Mark April 18th. Going to be a blast. Again, full details next week. We're about to have some fun. Quick shout out. This hat, Hampton University. Recently had the pleasure of speaking to them, and they sent this nice cap. Dave and I and our team get to speak at schools periodically, from NYU to USC to Belmont University, a lot of schools and programs overseas. We enjoy talking with you, so just wanted to thank you. Fun show today. You're going to see the House of DP and how he does stuff. So now you have the unusual pleasure of introducing yourself.
What's unusual about it?
Nothing, actually. Sorry.
Hey guys, I get a lot of questions from you that I can't answer in a short amount of time. And so I thought today would be a great opportunity to bring you answers to all those questions. How I start a mix, some of the processes that I go through, my templates, how do I use them, all those kind of things. So
Plus you're going to show a little bit about where you work, right?
Yeah, we cut it in my new room. I'm actually kind of proud of this. It helped me kind of organize my own thoughts, because sometimes you do things without thinking about it in a reactive sort of way. And I think you're going to like it. Let me know. I'm really curious, okay? Hey guys, welcome to Legends, home of my new studio. Glad you're here. I want to show you around. Come on in. It might be perceived that this outdoor space is just to make the space look cool, but really it's a gathering spot for all the people working here, which can be quite a few people. So it's a gathering spot for the building community, and that's been good for me because I've got to meet people from other professions and stuff, and then also meet other producers and people like that. So neat space. We're here at Studio 8 in Legends. Frederick, my friend, how have you been?
Very well.
I haven't seen you since about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien.
Oh, cool. Man, tell me about this board.
Well, yeah, it's a Neve 8078 that was commissioned as two separate Neves and got joined together at some point in time. When we acquired it, it was living in Marin County.
Cool.
The Grateful Dead had it and did a bunch of records on it, and he did a lot of work for Skywalker Ranch as well.
Oh, cool. Which brings up a good point. A lot of video stuff gets done here too. A lot of posts and all that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see that room in a minute. What's that behind me, man?
Oh yeah, we also have a Fairchild that we acquired from Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah.
from Southern Tracks?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was my place. I used to work there a
Oh,
lot.
nice.
All right, let's run out to the live room now and see what Cole's up to.
Hey guys, we're here in the live room. Absolutely love this place. Gotten a chance to do some great tracking sessions here. It's perfect for string dates and orchestra dates as well too. There's 3 ISO booths around, gigantic live room as you can see, and it just sounds incredible in here. One of our favorite rooms in town.
Some great records have been done in this room. Linda Perry worked out of this room for a while. I'm pretty sure that Parts of Beautiful were conceived while she was working here, and great history in this room. Currently, the owner, Phil Driscoll, is working out of here, making some great records. One of the most talented horn players I've ever met. Just an incredible room. By the way, this room started to take shape during the time period when Barbra Streisand used to own the facility. One of the interesting things about Legends Studio is it embodies the concept of a hybrid studio, which I think is a modern approach nowadays with the current condition of the record industry. So when you're in the video rooms, so looking at this video room and all the post-production that goes on here and all the technology that's involved in this room, it really embodies that concept where the facility is designed to do more than just audio. Studio B is home to Brandon Friesen. A while back it was Greg Curtis's room. Keisha Cole's first record was pretty much done in this room. A lot of good, neat things that go on in this room. Loudbox, Jamie Driscoll's company, works a lot out of this room. A lot of great records coming out of this room right now. Well, that's the studio. Hope you guys enjoyed the tour. I'm really digging being here. A lot of things going on. In Crowd, a new app that's coming out, is here. They have a lot of cool people. There's always something going on. It's my new home, and I love it. All right, guys. Hey, guys. One of the things that puzzled me when I first started mixing was how to start, how the people whose records I admired, how they went about constructing the process of mixing. So today what I want to share with you, and I'm interviewing myself today, so I am the guest, I'm also the interviewer. So if you hear some yelling in the background, it's Cole trying to interview me. We're in my new room. Obviously it's not quite finished yet, but the record's coming out of here so good we're afraid to touch it. Now, when I first start a mix, what I try to do, especially nowadays as opposed to 10 years ago, is I really try to familiarize myself with the rough mix that they created. And when I'm listening to the rough mix, I've already talked to the creator, so it might be the producer, it might be the artist, and I've already kind of gauged how much they like the rough mix, things they don't like about it, things they like about it. And so when I'm listening to the rough mix, I'm listening, trying to see what I need to preserve and how I'm going to go about doing that. And that process of initially talking to the creators, listening to the rough mix, then going back and talk to the creators again after you've kind of memorized the rough mix, that gives you enough information to just get started. So that is very important. Now, if you're working home alone by yourself, you've probably already fallen in love with your rough mix, and I would advise you maybe to not really listen to the rough mix for a while before you start mixing, and go back and listen to the rough mix when you're about halfway through the mix. Now, halfway through the mix, some things are going to happen and change. We'll get into that in a minute. So now what I've done is I've determined genre. And once you determine what type of song it's going to be, like say maybe I've got a pop song that has some hip hop overtones in the drums, but it's got some rock guitars in it and other things. So now I've got to figure out what's going to be my focus. What foundation am I going to construct this entire mix on? And the way I solve that conundrum is I try to think, what's the most important part of the song? Now, in some songs, the most important part is the groove or the rhythm, or another way to say it is the drums. The vocal, Dave, is always the most important part, is what you usually tell me, is what you're going to tell me. And that's true, but we're assuming the vocals are the most important. Now we're starting on the foundation. We're not starting on the regular building, which metaphorically would be the vocals. So I'm going to show you a song that I recently mixed by Jill Scott. It's going to be on her new greatest hits record on Hidden Beach. And I went through this exact process very recently. This mix is about, I guess it's about 3 or 4 months old, not very old. So some of the things that I've shared with you in the past, if I say something different now, it's because I'm doing something different now. And I would encourage you to always try to do different things. They don't have to always work, just try different things. So for me, this song is clearly about Jill, but I'm going to surround her with some instruments. So let me play you the rough mix, a little piece of the rough mix. I'm going to start it a little bit into the song. And this is it. What a great singer. Okay, now I didn't play the vocal. It feels to me like the acoustic guitar is a very, very, very important part of this track. It also feels to me that the Rhodes part, I think it was, is very important. So let's just listen to the music as I've mixed it. So I'm muting everything in my mix. This is not my final mix because we haven't done anything to our stereo bus just yet. We're going to wait a little bit into the process before we get into the stereo bus. Okay, so here's just the music. Okay, so you're starting to get a feel that the keyboard parts, which are basically a Rhodes and a Wurlitzer, and the acoustic guitars are the most important foundational parts of the song on which we can build on. Now, oddly enough, when I first heard this song, I thought it felt to me like I needed to make the bass an event. So let me show you what happens when I add the bass just to the music. Now, early in the song, the bass is actually carrying a lot of weight. So mentally, we're going to remember everything we do has to have those elements on which to sit Jill's vocals. Now, I'm not going to dwell on different things that I did. Oddly enough, I did an ITL that you're going to see, that you probably just saw, and gave you a little bit of a concept of what I went through for the bass. Now, the guitars, you can see I've got a lot of stuff on this guitar. I spent a lot of time on this guitar. I wanted it to sound expensive. I wanted the rhythmic elements of the guitar to be as important as the harmonic elements. So in other words, it contributes to the groove of the song, but it also contributes to the chords and the harmonic content of the song. And then there's another part to the guitar part. So as you can see, I use some panning. So that gives me a wider bed. Now, what is the Rhodes doing? The Rhodes is really mostly harmonic, very little rhythmic content. Great Rhodes player. Real neat parts. Now together. So now we've heard the basic harmonic elements, the things that are playing the notes and the chords. We've heard the basic kind of rhythmic element that we wanted to emphasize it in terms of the harmonic contributors. So let's check and see what our vocal's going to do. Now we're listening to a vocal that's already EQ'd and everything, so you might not have that ready to go yet. Now, what I noticed, apart from the fact that I killed that vocal, come on, admit it, it sounds great, is there's a small linearity to the dynamics of the piano and the guitars. Yeah, they move a little bit, but they don't do these big emotional things, and her vocal does. So when we're working on the vocal, we need to be sure that we're getting those elements into the process. You can see I've got a lot of little EQ moves, a lot of little volume moves here, and even more than you know. I've already done some clip gain changes to try and manipulate the energy. I'm not so much concerned with her vocals sounding polished and finished in terms of that. I'm more concerned with where the energy is in her vocal, and I'm using that to manipulate the listener. And the neat thing about the fact that there's not a lot of change dynamic-wise in the track is that it puts a nice bed to contrast the image and the energy in her vocal. So one of the things that I might do differently, and some of my friends might do differently than a person starting out, is we have no problem spending an hour or two or even 3 on getting the vocals right and the vocal energy right. I've done tracks in the past when I didn't have Pro Tools where I spent 7-8 hours on just the vocals. That's a very, very important source of everything that's going to contribute to people hearing and liking your song, sales, everything else. So now we can do 2 things. Now we can work on the vocal if we want, or we can continue working on the track. Let's leave the vocal in, and let's see what our drums are doing. So see, the drums came in, they did what drums are supposed to do. They're like really cementing the groove, really locking that feeling in, and now your head's moving to the groove. but still the energy's in the vocal. That's why it's so important to not leave a space for the vocal to sit in some part of the process. If you get too far down the road and get the drums finished and you get all the music finished in a song like this where you need the energy of the vocal, you've not left any room for it. Like a lot of people think they're leaving room for it dynamically and to be heard, but what you're really leaving room for is to be able to use that vocal to get the energy in the track, to make you feel something. So let's check the energy here. Now, of course, we want the energy to lift a little bit in the verse.
What I like about you.
But down here, we got to be hammering you. We got to be just going for the throat.
I adore you, baby, oh.
The track didn't quite go up as much. Now, I'm not afraid to do that. And this is why I use these auxes. I can manipulate and massage the energy. So what are my auxes? It's changed since the last time I showed you this. Now I've got where all my vocals go, and I'm not afraid to add a de-esser to this. I'm not afraid to add things that are going to affect all the vocals. Then I've got my drums. On this song, I'm using something a little different. I'm using Alloy 2 because I want to preserve the live feel of the drums. In the past, I would use an SSL style bus compressor. I felt it was a little grabby. Now, if I'm doing a dance song, I might use more of a limiter style function. But the preset's something I made up. But you can kind of see what's going on. I don't want this to be about that. I want this to be about the concept philosophically. Now the music, I wanted a nice musical compressor, so I'm using something that has kind of a smooth.
I adore you, baby, oh.
And if you notice, the release time was in time. The needle moved quite just right. Now the bass, I did an ITL on this. Hopefully you just saw it. Initially, I tried to use this on it. I love this plug-in and this setting on to parallel my bass with. So here's my real bass. Actually, I didn't parallel. I put it on the bass. But what I ended up liking was sending the bass through this bandpass filter and then feeding that to max bass. And I made max bass really, really happy by not having to. I didn't want it to hear this. I wanted it to hear this. And the algorithm, the mathematics of it, I can hear, and I think it gave me a clarity in the low end that I wanted. So this is a parallel to this guy, and they're all at this point in the mix process. We're tightening up their contributions to the process. Okay, you with me so far? I know this is kind of philosophical, but let's say you want the song to kind of raise up in energy at some point. Man, just take your drums and take them up a little bit. So.
Adore you. I adore you. So sweetly, so deeply.
See what I'm saying? So these give you a lot of different options. Now, let's say that I'm thinking to myself, gee, Dave, I don't know quite where to place the music. Well, let's figure it out. Right now my music is at 2.6, okay? So let's see what happens if I bring the music down a little.
I adore you.
Not bad, yeah, sounds good. Maybe a little hip hoppy because the drums felt like they went up. Now watch this. I'm gonna listen to the drums.
I
Sounds like I turned the drums up. Turning something down is the same thing as turning something else up. So you felt the energy go different. Let's see what happens if I increase this.
I adore you.
That's not bad. If I do this, if I take the vocal up a little bit,
I adore you. So sweetly.
to me that would be a little more pop, and Jill's not an artist that has a specific genre we want to tag her with. So we're gonna split the difference and kind of keep her in that artsy kind of mode. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. There's a chance I might have wanted to run the bass a little louder. You know, those kind of things you'll second guess your whole life, but
I adore you. So sweet.
ain't mad at that, not gonna lie. It's just I felt like she wasn't the star. I didn't want you to kind of focus on anything but her vocal. So that's how I use the auxes. And then I'm not a big believer in doing too much on the auxes, because you should try to get that done down in here. You know what I'm saying? Like I added a couple little samples. This is a live sample. This is some stuff that reminded me of some famous producers. And you go, well, Dave, that's plagiarizing. Well, no, they're my samples. But sometimes you want to put some sounds in the song that make a person think of other successful songs. You don't want to do that too much, because then the listener is going to feel like they heard the song before too much. You just wanted a little bit of comfort zone in hearing something that they're kind of accustomed to hearing, but not hear it enough to where they think you're copying. I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but what I'm saying is if you go to a foreign country and you eat a food that you've never tasted before, you're probably not going to like it. If you eat a food that tastes exactly like a quarter pounder or an In-N-Out burger, you're going to go, well, that's disappointing. I've eaten here before. So you want a little bit of both, and that's what popular music is constructed around, that foundation of a little bit of what you know and a lot of what you don't know. So that's kind of why I added those sounds in there, is to give me that feeling in the rhythm section. Now that I've said that, let me see. I'm gonna take a chance here. Let's see if it works.
What I like about you.
Now let me take my sample out.
What I like about you. You make me.
You see what I'm saying? When it was without it, the kick drum had too much of an old-timey flavor, which kind of gave a weird vibe to the track. When I added the sample, nothing changes. It just didn't sound old-timey. It made Jill sound younger. It made her sound like this is a record that just came out today. We don't want to sell somebody something that the listener that they think was a million years ago. And everybody wants new. Everybody wants new. Everybody wants new. This is a new song, and she's got, her fans are incredibly loyal. They don't want her to be too much of this, but they want her to be a lot of that. And that's the conundrum you have as a mixer, trying to figure out how much of the new you add in, how much of the classic Jill you leave in, and you'll drive yourself nuts. So just be a Jill Scott fan and make a record that you would buy, and then hopefully everybody else will go buy it. At some point, you gotta trust yourself. At this point in time, I'd probably not have all of the percussive elements in the track. I'd probably have the main kick and snare and overheads. And at some point, I felt like like the chorus wasn't really paying off, and you got to be real careful with this because you're not the producer, you're the mixer. In some cases, some of you guys are both, but in my line of work, I'm the mixer. So I gave the record company an idea. I felt like if I added a live shaker to the chorus, it would help me lift a little bit. And it's very subtle. So Cole played this for me. Coldplay. All right, Coldplay played it for me. So Cole Nystrom played it for me. Check it out. This is without it. Bad boy Cole playing in time. And here again, we lo-fied it, a lot of things. We tried to make it blend into the concept for the song. I didn't want it to be heard by the people policing the creativity in the song and the production of the song. I just wanted it to be felt. And then if we took it out, you'd really miss it. We used it a little bit here. So we did that. And at the end of the day, I wanted it to kind of have, I want all these elements to be glued together. So I used a compressor. For a little bit of glue, and then one of my favorite bus plugins. Not really doing a whole lot. And then I wanted to add a little. I just felt like I needed a little sparkle, and so check this. So what we did was we gave, it's like spaghetti sauce. We put in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and when we took it out, the spices had blended. That's what we tried to accomplish with the stereo bus. We tried to just get everything to kind of glue together, support Jill. Everything's about Jill, and so nothing earth-shattering there going on. Just creative kind of musical things. An interesting thing down here, this muted track. My room is not quite flat yet, so this was an EQ that I was using to monitor with. So right now, I didn't want that EQ to go to the screen capture program that you're hearing. I wanted you to hear it straight. But don't be afraid to get yourself a little room tuning there. This is the screen capture program, and this is what's going to my real-time analyzer. So to recap, start by listing, well, actually, I guess technically start by talking to, well, no. Start by listening to the rough, then talk to the creators. That could be the producer, the artist, the label, and then do a little Sherlock Holmes, sneak some conversation in there about information you're trying to glean and discern, and be polite. But you figure out their tolerance for how much reverb, figure out their tolerance for how much extra things you can do. And every client is different. Some of my clients want the rough but enhanced. Some of my clients want me to just change everything and do what I do. So you got to figure out all those kinds of things. And then once you figure that out, and even within yourself, you've got to figure that out. And now you go back and listen to the rough again, and then maybe talk to the client again. Now you've got a new frame of reference, and then you pick out the important elements. Well, Dave, I'm a trap guy. Okay, well, let's start with the 808 in that case. Let's start with the 808 and the one trappy instrument sound. And then once we get those going, bring the vocals in, bring the raps in, and make sure that the rap is going to be in your face. people don't buy kick drums, they buy rap, but they all have to work in coordination together. And so what if you're doing rock? Well, probably I would normally most of the time start with the guitars and then bring in a basic part of the drum kit, maybe kick and snare, and then bring in the vocals. Now, when you're bringing in the vocals, you're not bringing them in to EQ them, you're not bringing them in to see how they sound. You're bringing them in so that you can leave space for them sonically and energy-wise later on. Now, Dave, I don't do that. I don't really need to do that. Absolutely true. You don't need to do that. It's just the way I work, because sometimes I get so aggressive with those things, I have to dial them back to sit the vocal in. And after a while of dialing things back, I started thinking, well, man, why don't I just leave room for it to begin with? A lot of these philosophies and concepts are just the way I work. You're going to have to tailor them to your needs, and everyone's doing a different type of music. But the template system that I use gives me massages in terms of kind of getting them to fit in where I want, because you never know what you need until you hear the final product. But how do you get to the final product until you figure out how to get there? So it's always a pendulum swinging back and forth, and the auxes kind of help me do that. I'm a big believer that the more I think, the less good I mix. I like to remove everything I have to think about from the process. I don't want to think about EQing. I don't want to think about volume rides. I don't want to think about effects. I just want to hear something in my head, and then next thing I know, that something is coming through the speakers. I'm not really concerned with what I use in terms of gear, consoles, faders, no faders. I just hear it in my head, and it comes out to speakers, and I'm happy. That's all I really want to do. So all of these things are designed for me to not have to think about them. And I do start out with a lot of effects that I never use. These are all effects that I didn't use. And my effects are designed not to be used, but just to save me time from loading certain things up. So, because I don't want to paint myself in a corner with an idea that's not going to work later. We're not Target here, where you can go buy a suit off the shelf. We're doing some tailoring just for you. So I don't want to get too much into the process, having started with something I thought would work, and then later on figuring out it doesn't. Now, in terms of effects, I would probably put the basic effects on the music tracks as I go. But once you get the vocals in, some of that's going to morph and change. All right, I hope that helped a little bit. And please use your own system. Pick and choose what helps you out of my system, and then incorporate that into your system if you think that's going to help you. If you've got a better system, I want to know about it. Okay? All right.
Hey, again, shout out to Hampton University. Thanks, guys. More stuff coming.
Yes.
Mark your calendars, April 18th. Dave, nice work on this. It was interesting
thanks,
for me
man.
to watch that and see that it goes. Why don't you take us home?
Guys, what I showed you today is just my way. That's only one way. I want you to not just copy that, but understand the processes of why I did it. The main thing, Herb, that I think as a creative person, removing the physical, technical part of that is always better than being a slave to the technical part. So,
Absolutely.
So when you're creating, you don't want to be thinking about all these things, and everything I'm showing you today, or showed you today, is about removing that part of the process. So you can just think, and next thing you know, your ideas are coming through a set of speakers. So hope you enjoyed it.